repeat what you learn, then I know it's a good way to solidify, and then I can build on that. As a newbie, I'm very visual, so I just wanted someone to do a visual walkthrough to help me understand the steps and see the big picture. Because if I can see the big picture, then I don't get lost in the details. So I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to repeat everything that we kind of discussed last time,
Last time.
and
Okay.
go over what my concept is, what my idea is, and then along the way you can let me know if I'm missing some items or if there's a way to capitalize on what I'm doing a little bit more. Okay. So,
Sure.
as a newbie, because sometimes we look at these SEO maps and they can be overwhelming, partly because we don't understand that there's automation involved to create some of that. Sometimes it looks like that is a massive amount of work, and it is, but thank God automation is doing a lot of that work, right? So, what I did first is, as a newbie, I don't necessarily want to build out a diagram that's massive if I don't understand it because it's not serving me well in the end. So I figured, especially thanks to your software, if I can first build out a simple SEO diagram that has good juice, then I know that it's the core. So what I did is I created this diagram that I call it the core. And the core is an SEO map that I will build out for any project because it won't take me that long, and I believe it's the basis to build on as I decide that I really want to take this project further, that I really want to strengthen this project. So
Mhm.
everything starts with your main keyword, and if I understand right, the ideal thing would be to be able to, if possible, make your main keyword.com, whatever it happens to be. Or if, as an agency, as myself, sometimes I'm not working on my own site. I might be working on a client site, and that is the money site. Okay. Now, from there, the first thing I'm going to do, if I'm not in charge of the money site, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build out a Google site. And that's really where I'm going to focus all of my juice on, is the Google site, because I can always control where the juice flows. In this case, I'm pointing toward the money site, to give the money site some juice. But as I power up this Google site, as you shared with me, and after my first build, I proved that you were right, is that it starts ranking on its own. So usually what I do is whatever my main keyword is, if it's available, I try to name that my Google site. Okay. From there, and here's where Staxio really does an amazing job, is we stack it. So the first thing I usually do, and in my simple core diagram, is I stack the Google site. This is the first phase of powering up my Google site. This alone will give it pretty good juice. And of course, I use the keywords that are relevant to my Google site. From there, I go ahead and I build out a blogger site to also power the same Google site. And if possible, I try to align the same main keyword that I use for my blogger to my Google, and if possible, my .com site. And then, of course, because it's effortless thanks to Staxio, if I can drop the hammer, as you told me the other day, of power, the Thor hammer of Thor on the Google site, then I'm going to hammer the heck out of my blogger site because it's easy. It's so it takes so little time to create all these Google properties in Staxio and power up my Google site. And of course, I'm going to use my main keyword plus my plus three secondary keywords in the software. That's what I do. This is what I call the core because it's simple. It's straightforward. I think any newbie can look at this and understand it. Now, when you look at the Google Stack, there's a lot of components going on in there, but that's done automatic. So I don't have to worry about being lengthy and building that out. Thanks to Staxio, it builds it out automatically. This is what I build anytime I'm going to do a project. I'm going to put some juice behind it. It's a great start. Now, if I decide that this is a project that I really have an interest in, or that I'm getting paid well to do, and I really want to produce even greater results, not just test. Or maybe I tested it and it proved to be a site that I really want to work with. Then I really build a foundation behind it. So I'm going to take this main course structure the way it is, and I'm going to add on to it to create what I'm calling the main foundation for any of my work that's worth doing. Okay. And to do that is I still have my blogger site. Is I'm going to power my Google site now with 4 blogger sites. And the same thing. I stack the first blogger site. I'm going to go ahead and stack all the other blogger sites as well. And to do that, of course, I'm going to use each blogger site. I'm going to give it its own keyword. I'm going to stack it with 4 new keywords that are relevant to that new keyword. Okay. And this, of course, takes a little bit more work. But this is when you really want to go ahead and power up a good Google site. I think that's correct. I think let me pull this back up. I think that's what I understood from you when we went over this. And I think that for now, and trust me, I know I've learned from you guys, we can even power up more by doing other things. But if this is all I do to a site, what kind of results can I expect on an average keyword? Not maybe the most competitive keyword, but a decent keyword. What do you think, Braulio? What kind of results do you think I can get from something like this?
I mean, when did you come up with this presentation? Because you're a box of surprises. Every time I jump on a call with you, you have something up your sleeve, and and you fire up your desktop, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And then you have your drawing skills, and then it's amazing.
It's really copy and paste, my friend. I have no drawing skills. It's all copy and paste. But it helps me visualize. And, I mean, if something like this had been presented to me early on when I was trying to learn this SEO, which is really early this year, I haven't done this a long time, I think I would be way further ahead than I am now, because I can understand this. It's visual. I can understand this. And of course, what really helps power this up is the Google stacks that your software creates. But, of course, your software doesn't just create the Google stacks. It actually helps power up the blog site within the blog builder, the Google site within the Google site builder. So software does a lot more that are very crucial to this. But I figured, and this part right here is all based on the conversation you and I shared. This is what I gleaned from you. And I just wanted to put it on the map and get your feedback on it. Is this what we talked about? Is this right? And
Yes.
Do you see any opportunity to improve on it?
Yeah, this is basically how I structure my campaigns with Staxio now. Now that we have Blogger in the picture, now that we are able to build Google Sites with the HTML, the new version of Google Sites with the HTML builder, this is exactly what I do. So depending on whether my Google site is my money site or not, or am I working with a client site, or do I have another money site that I'm working with? So depending on that, that's how the structure will change, because then my Google site becomes my money site. So that's the only little difference I have from your structure. That's it.
Yes.
But it's just if we just remove the money site from your top structure, that's the only thing that might be different from my builds.
Absolutely.
Right.
And and I don't have a pen, and I'm not that fluid in a PowerPoint, or else I would draw a line right across this first one and I would write optional, because you're right. I all of a sudden, in building this out, my Google site started ranking for the keyword that I wanted. Now, I did take your advice, and because you told me it probably could rank on its own, I didn't just make it very generic. I went ahead and I did put a little design on it. I made it user friendly, lander friendly, visitor friendly.
Okay.
On itself, but I'm still pointing it to my money site. So I have two sites that I'm drawing visitors to, and I'm sure I'm probably getting some traffic and some visitors in these blogs and other places that
Right.
I am guiding through my funnel per se, and whether they land on my Google site or they land on my main site, hopefully that they'll be converted.
Right. No, that's it's you're on point. You're right on point.
Yay.
Yeah. So now, there's only one thing. Is one thing that we talked about on the previous call
Mhm.
that is not in the picture is that is that the bloggers, and correct me if I'm wrong, your bloggers are pointing to pages inside your
Oh,
Google site, right?
thank you for highlighting that. I did forget to highlight that detail, but absolutely. Each blog is pointing to its own separate
But
page on the
right.
Google site that matches that keyword, that blogger keyword.
So what that means is that it's a silo. That means it acts like it's like you have four different silos going up to your Google site. That's what it means. You have
Okay.
So if they're
So is a silo for visual purposes, a
right.
silo, is that like a highway? Are we saying like there's four different
Yes,
highways that are going to a
so
Google site?
you're building topical relevance through the silo.
Ah,
That's what the silo should be doing. That's what the silo is for. So if the interlinking is all is if you have a closed interlinking structure down from your your Google stack up to Blogger and then linking up to your page on Google Sites, if that's the only only flow of links uh, that is going on from down from your Google stack to Blogger to the Google Sites page,
mm-hmm,
then if that's the only link that this structure is linking to up
mm-hmm.
to the Google Sites page, then that's a correct silo linking structure that you have now, and that is the right way to
So
build
something
a
like
silo.
this is a silo.
Yes. So removing the that
The
Google
Google stack?
stack. Yes,
Uh-huh.
that's not part of the silo.
Correct.
Now, yes. So if your Google stack, the only thing that your bottom Google stack is linking to is your Blogger site, and the only thing that your Blogger site is linking to is the page on your Google site, then
Correct.
you have a closed silo, and that's how you have correct linking structure to it and built the silo correctly.
So here I would have four silos pointing to the Google site, correct? Each to its own
Yes.
page.
Yes.
Braulio, first of all, I got a couple of questions. The first question, do you sleep?
I do. I have to. But
I was gonna
yes,
say,
too
because
many
you're,
ideas.
yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. First of all, you thought of these things and then implementing them. Okay, so now I understand. I'm again a newbie here. I can picture a PDF silo and I kind of understand the power behind that. And this PDF silo, where would you point that to?
The PDF. Well, you could depends.
I mean, would you point
Up
it
to
to the
you.
Google site or would you point it to a stack or a blog or like in this map that I have there? Where would you point the first place you would point the PDF would be?
Depends. So in this case, I would probably try to send the link from the silo to the page on your Google site. That's my first thought.
Okay.
And if we're talking about PDFs, that's what I would probably do. Yeah. But
Okay.
if we're talking about Google Sheets, because now that I found a way to embed any site on inside a Google Sheet, which is visible, I can share my screen, and if I can find the Google Sheet where I ran the test with,
Excellent.
I would probably point the Google Sheet silo to your money site, because it's something you can embed anything into.
All right. So now the newbie question here, okay? Because you're really excited about this embed, so I need to understand it. What is the benefit of embedding the site into the sidebar? Is the benefit that Google Sheet itself will rank, or is it the benefit that by embedding it in that Google Sheet, it's going to power whatever we're embedding in there?
Well, because what it does is it basically acts like a do follow link. So you're basically getting a do follow link from a powerful Google property, in this case a Google Sheet, from a high domain authority property up to whatever you want to link it to.
Wow. Okay, I understand. So we're juicing something up with it, but by giving it a lot of authority.
Right. Okay. So, for example, one of the things, I haven't looked at any of your Google sites yet, but one of the things that you should be doing is embedding your money site on your Google site.
Okay.
And there's an embed field. There's an embed input field on the builder, on all the builders of Staxio, the HTML builder, the Blogger builder. There's an embed field for this exact reason. Because you can embed, I do. Yes, you should be embedding your money site on it.
On the Google site?
On all the builds.
Yes. Or on the bloggers also.
On the bloggers also.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because if the Google site is our money site, are we able to embed the Google site onto the blogger sites?
Right. So this is what I do, right? So in this case, your blogger is pointing to your Google site. So when you build your blogger, you're telling Blogger that your money site is the page on your Google site, right? So actually, I'm thinking that this could be something that we could create automatically, like the embed of the money site in Staxio.
Part of the site builder?
Yeah, do that. Do it automatically instead of us having to go into the embed input field and adding the iframe source.
Dude, you're gonna make a lot of fans happy. Yeah, do it.
Well, one last thing we have to worry about, I guess.
All right, audience that is listening, you're welcome.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to thank Raul for this one. Yeah.
Well,
was that clear enough?
Yes.
Did I answer the question?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we talked about the embed, we talked about the PDF, but you mentioned a third silo or a third thing, and I blanked on it.
The third silo. Yeah. So I mentioned three silos, right? So the
PDF,
Google Stacks. Yeah, PDFs, Google
Google
Stacks.
site.
Normal Google Stacks inside Google Stacks, PDFs, and Google Sheets.
I thought there was a third you said. I mean, besides the Google Stacks, because we had talked about the Google Stacks first, and then we moved on, and then I thought you mentioned something else that you were either working on or you were doing, and all of a sudden I blanked. It'll be in the recording, I guess.
Sure, we can always play back and see what I said.
Yeah, no, we can cover it later.
Actually, there's you can build Blogger silos if you like. That's something else you could do. like a build blogger that links to another blogger and another blogger.
Oh, sure.
And build a silo of bloggers.
Oh,
Something
yeah.
else you could do.
Yeah, you could do that. Absolutely.
It's another idea, just on top of my head. Yeah.
So, okay. So, like right now, just looking at this foundation that I've built, I would certainly go back to it and add the embedding, because that's it shouldn't be too hard, and you told me about that, and especially if it's going to be automatic, I would certainly do that. The second thing is, it would be easy, once I learn how, once you have it set up, to create the PDF silo and point it to the Google site or the money site, whichever. So I can definitely add that to it. Now, when you build out for a client, okay, or you build out something for yourself, obviously, if it's something that's a little harder to rank for, and it's something that's more economically rewarding, you're really going to not stop building on it, I imagine, right? You're always building on it and building on it because it's worth the money. So I'm going to put that aside for now. But what about when you're building something that makes you money, but is not necessarily worth really, there are better opportunities, so you don't really build it out a lot. You just build it enough to give it good authority and get it up and running. Okay. Is this what I'm looking at on the screen? Is this enough for that? Or would you still add on to your regular build?
Something that you're building that you're not going to put a lot of effort into it? Or
in other words, it's something that's worth doing, but you have bigger opportunities that make you a lot more money. So you just want to get this up and running and leave it running. Maybe it's something that you don't want to focus on too much. Maybe it's one of your clients, and a local client, and maybe they don't. Local client obviously would need something as massive as something that you were building for yourself. For a local client, let's say, would this be sufficient, you think, for them, or would you build out even more?
So the approach I have with, at least the initial approach is you can, and it's something you can offer your clients, is a basic. So before having Blogger, the basic package that I offered was a regular Google stack, going up to a Google site and then going to my client's website. Right.
Nice.
I could add an extra 3 or 4 Google stacks beneath the Google site.
So this is your initial package, your basic package.
Yes, 1 or up to maybe 3 or
Google
4
stacks to it.
Yeah, Google stacks going up to the Google site, going up to pages, individual pages, just like we did, just like you did.
The bloggers, yeah.
Yeah, just like we had on our previous video, and going up to my client's website. Yeah, and then build up from there.
Just this basic package that you built out for your clients. What kind of results were they seeing from something like that?
Man, after a month, they were getting results.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes less than a month. Given that the Google site gets indexed. Once the Google site is indexed, and then everything else will flow.
Now, when you say results, what does results mean for a local client? Does it mean that they're ranking? Does it mean that they're visible? Or does it mean, because I can't imagine that you have control over conversions because it's their site, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean when you say a client is happy, they are getting results?
Because, usually it's through analytics. I have access to analytics, and I do an analysis prior to working with the client, of course. And we look at the keywords, we're looking at a bunch of stuff, right? and also the analytics. If the client doesn't have analytics, then you have to just to activate it for the client. And it also depends if they have a GMB.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have a GMB, then I work with the GMB and then get the GMB analytics also. So they're gonna and they like that because it's very simple, and they start getting traffic, and they see the charts inside the GMB, where you send them the report after a month or after 2 months or 3 months, the period that you're working with the client, and they see it, and they see traffic, they see visits. It's you can go to their GMB and take screenshots, and they'll see it. There's your proof. There's the proof.
All right, this definitely sounds like another call for us, okay, to go over analytics, because that is a place where I do get lost. Like, okay, how do I know when I go into my certain sites and I look at some of the stuff that I'm actually getting visitors, and especially when I don't have conversions yet, right? When I'm working just on the traffic part, how do I know I'm getting real visitors, real people, that kind of stuff? And Google Analytics, I haven't really dabbled in it, to be honest. So I think on a future call, I would be so grateful if we can look at the Google Analytics, or just go over how to set up Google Analytics so that I can analyze a client's site before, from the get-go.
Right?
Before and after. I think that would be so helpful to me for my personal products, and to us as an agency. I think there's a lot of value in that, and I'm sure people who are listening right now, because even though we have some experts who follow you, who are on that site, I see them post, I know they're experts, but I also know there's a lot of people who have a lot of holes in their understanding of SEO, and I'm raising my hand because I'm the first one. And if we can fill those holes in, you are building a solid marketer, Braulio, and I'd like to see that happen, especially with me. I'd like to see that happen with me.
Well, we're definitely gonna give it a try.
All right.
And also rank trackers. Using a rank tracker for the keywords that your client is trying to rank for. Because that's gonna once you start link building, which is basically what we're doing. The things are going to start to move.
Nice.
On the rankings.
Yeah.
So using a rank tracker is important. So they have visibility on what's going on.
Have you created a rank tracker? Do you have that?
Or do you use a service? I wish that, but that's a lot of work.
Oh, okay.
Creating my own rank tracker. It's something that I thought about doing, but it takes, because then we begin to talk about things like proxies and threads, and that's a world I haven't put my feet into yet.
I'll tell you from my simple outsider point of view on that is there's a lot of services out there who do it, and you don't need to do it because you're doing stuff that no one else is doing that we really want. So yeah, don't get distracted. I mean, keep focusing on what you're focusing on, because that's to us, that's where the value is. We can always sign up for a little service that does something to us as simple as rank tracking. I may not be simple to create, but to us it's a simple concept. But this is nothing simple if we have to do it manually. But you're creating automation for us. This is where I would rather have Braulio working. If I can be selfish about it, I would say, Braulio, please work on what you're working, because that's money, that's gold for a lot of people and for a lot of us. And I'm grateful to that. Yeah, thank you. I'm learning so much. Thank you, Braulio. Okay. let
Yep.
me take a quick step back because I know I did a sidebar. Quick step back, going back to this local client and the local build that you did for them, which is basically
Mm.
the Google site was with several stacks. Okay, and you were able to show them through analytics and see the traffic that's
Okay.
going on to them. That is awesome. You have a client who's being faithful to you because they're seeing it, and hopefully their phone is starting to ring because they're one of the best options. Now you don't really have control over the conversions though, right? Because it's their money site. Is that correct, or is there something you can do to help them with making their phone ring?
I don't want to have control over that. No,
Okay.
it's not
Okay.
something that I want to worry about.
Perfect. You're clear with the client. This is what I'm
Yeah.
promising, and this is what I'm fulfilling on. And here's the proof. The rest, that's something you have to work on your own. Correct?
Yes. Correct.
Okay. So once you build that out for a client, for a local client, and you maintain, not that there's much to maintain, but you have that for them, um, do you ever take the client to another level after that? Do you offer them something more? Do you power it up more? Or does it depend on the circumstance?
Um, uh, that depends. Depends on the niche.
Ah, okay.
Depends on the niche where the client is in. Like if it's very competitive, like lawyer or dentist, for example,
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the like very competitive niches. Then they're gonna. I know upfront that like a simple stack is not gonna do a lot for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that they're gonna need more power.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna need more builds. Um, we and testing is very important because we test first and test waters because you need to figure out you can have an idea of the competitiveness of the niche, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not until you test and until you start building that you get a real understanding of how much work is involved.
Mm.
Right? So it,
Is that
it
something you would take on? Honestly, would you take on a client that's a lawyer or a doctor or dentist in an area that's very competitive?
yeah, I have a lawyer I work with
Mm-hmm.
in Portugal.
Mm,
Yeah, so yes,
nice.
but
Wow.
of course it depends. They're a high paying client, of
Yeah.
course, because there's
Yeah.
work, there's a lot of work involved, and then there's education. You have to educate the client. You have to
Mm.
explain to them or try to explain to them because they usually don't. The lawyers, they don't want to understand, they don't care, but
They just want
uh,
now results.
they just want to see results, and if they're getting results, then they're happy and you're
Right.
happy,
Uh-huh.
right? But
Yeah.
it's going to cost them money, and you have to then your sales skills, that's when they come into the picture, right?
Mm.
You have to
Mm-hmm.
educate, you have to explain them what you're going to be doing, not getting into the technical side of things, but yes. So depends.
Okay, got it. All right. I can clearly see that we could have a whole conversation and video just on local to better understand. But I think we accomplished a lot, at least for me, when it comes to local, because you gave me an understanding of a basic client that, what you would do for them as a basic package. We can just enough with what we've gone over today, and even just enough with some of the silos that we saw. Um, I know that I could build a basic package for them, or I can power it up some more just by doing, the full core or doing the foundation that I drew out for them, for the local clients if I wanted to go that route. So I think I got something to work with for local clients, just what we did. So I appreciate that.
So one of the things that I do always always do with the clients is optimizing their existing properties, and creating properties if they don't have. Like for example, the GMBs are very important for
Uh-huh.
local. GMBs are one of the most important things and properties that you should be optimizing and building for a client when working local. Yeah, if they don't have one, they need one. So that's
Absolutely.
an extra service charge that I charge them, my clients. Right.
Right.
Then optimizing. If they have Facebook, if they have a website, look into all the existing properties, and because I haven't found a client that yet that had all these, unless they have previously worked with an SEO or with a marketing agency before, they're not optimized.
Now,
and I haven't found one yet.
When you say optimized, do you mean that they have made them visitor friendly? They look good, they look professional, they flow, they have lead capture, or do you mean SEO optimized, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both. So yeah, it's a different type of work, right?
Yeah.
So optimizing for SEO, making sure that they're optimized for leads, for calls, right? Depending on the niche, right? Yes. So and then that's where you start structuring your proposal that you want to send a client. All right, so this is how much it's going to cost to optimize or create your GMB. This is how much it's going to cost to optimize your website, to make it conversion friendly, mobile friendly, whatever. And then all the little things like, okay, you don't have analytics, you don't have Google Analytics, you don't have Google Tag Manager, your website doesn't have an SSL certificate. All those small little things.
Wow.
Right, and all those things are extras.
Of course,
you keep adding to the proposal, the optimization work, project that you're going to be doing.
Awesome. Okay, quick question about GMB, the Google Google My Business. All right. So, do you, like, for instance, with my book that I'm working on, the first thing I did is when I created the Google property for it, the Gmail for it, is I used my main keyword for my book, and I actually created a GMB for it. I put my home address or whatever, just, and it ranks. I see it, it pops up. I mean, hopefully people don't come knocking at my house, but I don't think they do.
You can hide the address if you like.
The address? Okay.
Yeah, you can go on. There's a setting on inside the GMB.
Okay, great. Now, do you create a GMB for anything outside of local businesses? Do you create it for a product like I did? Is there a benefit to doing that?
Branding. That's branding. You should be. Yes.
Okay. So you're for.
Sorry?
No, so you're definitely for creating a GMB for your products, whatever it is you're promoting, for whatever you're branding. Gotcha.
I do.
All right.
I do. Yes, because it's a brand. And for me, I have like a branding first approach. If the name of your book is probably your brand is the name of the book, or we would have to think about that. If you have multiple books under a pen name, for example, then we'll probably do multiple actually. It's something we can discuss, we can think about. But yes, I would do GMBs.
So, like, for instance, for my Christmas book, I come from so I sell on Amazon, and one of my successes on selling on Amazon is I am not so much product driven as I am keyword driven. What that means is if I find a keyword that's not hugely competitive, but it has decent traffic to it, I will actually create a product around that keyword to match that keyword, to match what people are looking for. And I will actually name that product, that keyword, nice and simple, right? Because it helps me rank a lot easier on Amazon. And it also speaks very specifically to my client. And this is a very vague example. Like if someone is typing dark spot removal cream, and now that's a very competitive keyword. I wouldn't do it with that keyword. But an example, I would actually create the product to be named dark sky, removal cream, because a lot of people, when they type that keyword in, they'll see creams that pop up that are good for dark spot removals, but they're also good for anti-aging. They're also good for wrinkles. They're also good for all this stuff. And I'm really targeting very specifically one person who looks at it and says, well, that product's good for all those things, but I would rather have the one that just focuses on my problem. So I rank. I create the product and I rank it and I brand it to that specific keyword, and I found modest success with that. So I say that to say, for instance, my Christmas book that we keep talking about. The book is called Guardians of the Tree. These cool little dinosaurs protecting Christmas trees. Okay, but all of my keyword ranking, everything that I've tried to rank for in the book has nothing to do with the actual title of the book, because no one's ever heard of it. No one's going to go and type Guardians of the Tree. Yes. It's not it doesn't give you a visual of what the book is about. Right. Are we talking about some people who are pro-environment and they're chaining themselves to the tree and they don't want people to come and knock them down? Right? Of course not. We're talking about something Christmassy, right? So I know, it's funny. So all of my focus on this one, when I started trying to rank and SEO it, was Christmas dinosaur tree, or dinosaur Christmas book. I'm sorry. Christmas dinosaur book, or dinosaur Christmas book. And so people aren't necessarily looking for me, but I want to be a very clear option for them when they find it. So for instance, my GMB, because you were talking about branding, I actually called it I think Dinosaur Christmas Book or Christmas Dinosaur Book, I can't remember, instead of the actual title of the book.
That's good.
That's good logic, right? I'm okay by thinking down that thread? Okay, good. Because I put a lot of time on that and work on that, and I want to make sure I didn't mess it up.
No, you didn't. Okay. That's on point. Perfect.
All righty. And that's how I think I like to approach a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, because it's great. For instance, I have a second book that'll be coming out in a few months, and I'm an unknown author. So, and the title of the book is going to be whatever it is. It's cool. But I think I'm going to target my audience and focus on SEOing the audience I want to find me that's looking for that topic versus the title of the book. Now, if I was, a famous author, then it wouldn't be a problem. The whole focus would be the name of the book, because people are looking for my name and they'll be hearing about the book and they'll be looking for the book. So obviously all the SEOing and most of it would be toward making sure people could find, the person or the book.
Yeah, because now we're talking keyword research and volume behind those keywords.
Right.
So in your what I would do in that scenario is I would probably look at the traffic and the volume behind the keywords that your book is written with, and then probably target the keyword with the most volume, plus book or something.
In about a month or so, if you're up for one of these calls, I'm going to have you help me with that.
Sure. Are you currently, or did you do any keyword or use any keyword research tool for coming up with the keywords for the GMB that you registered, or you just
I did
from the top of your head?
Well, you went from the top of my head to choose the keyword that I was going to research, but I did research. I put it through a few keyword tools, and they gave me other examples, and I played with them, and those were really the best, the ones that had the most traffic on YouTube and on Google. So I did do some. I don't think there would have been a better keyword for that. And the traffic, the competition is moderate. It's not a massive amount, but there is a couple of well-established books already that have similar titles to that, and that's my competition. But still, all said and done, it's it's ranking pretty decently because of of this build out that I've done. So
Right.
it's getting traffic, and I know we've gone long. So, but on I already know on my next call, I already know the topic that I really want to dig into, and that is
Right.
Google. That is Google Analytics. I want to be because I want to be able to measure, and I can't measure right now because I don't know what I'm looking at. So I think that the next time we talk, that's the part I want to. I really want to. I'm gonna have you take the lead most of it, and just teach me and go over and have me ask you questions about Google Analytics, how to prepare the Google Analytics for a client before and after. Because I think if we do that, then I'll also be able to measure some of my products and my books and the work that I do for that.
You can drop analytics on Blogger. You can drop analytics on Google on Google sites. So
Wow.
yeah, you can, and and then you have a like a bird's eye view of your network.
Yeah. Wow.
Because the Blogger sites, they have an option to insert your analytics code. Google sites, same thing, and yeah, so then your money site or your client site should also have it. So then you can
Excellent.
see what's happening on every property of the network.
All right.
Yeah.
So to finish this video call, I want to recap my a couple of my takeaways. I am going to definitely look at embedding, so I can go back and embed my either my money site or my Google site onto my properties. So I'm going to do that. Right now, it's manual, but you have a way for that. For me to be able to do that through Staxio, so I'm going to visit that. That's A. B,
Okay.
the PDF silo, that's not ready yet, right? Or is that a ready thing?
It is. It is. There's an option in I will we can go through that on another call, and I'll show you
Uh-huh.
how we can do it. Something
Okay.
that I should have done already. And
Okay,
yes,
perfect.
we'll go through it.
Okay, so we'll do that. So that's number two. And then of course I'm definitely going to play for my next good because there's no was it Google Basics? The site there isn't anymore. Now we have the new Google site. So for my next SEO project that I do, I'm going to have to create a regular Google site and use the HTML to create the Google site. So I'm gonna go over your videos on that and learn that. Um, and of course we're going to wait for the embeds that you're working on that you're excited about because I'm definitely going to use that once that's
Sure,
ready.
yeah.